Well, it's the world according to L. I'm just wrapping up, shooting a video for some coursework, personality type, ESFJ. Shout outs to all those harmonizers out there. Shout outs to all those feelers out there building that social framework for us. No, I didn't have this on my notes, but as a deviate, why you need to gossip. Why you need to gossip. Gossip creates the social contract between us. And if you're not in the conversation, you're signing a contract by acquiescing to that contract, which means you're agreeing to it by not saying nothing. So if people around you yapping, and you're like, man, I don't even agree with none of that. At minimum, you need to step out and say, for the record, for Allah's own record book, I don't agree with that. And then keep it moving if you want to. Most people are gonna want to know why, or they're gonna be caught off guard, or what do you mean? Like, yo, I ain't got time for all that right now. I'm saying we gotta keep it moving. We got things to do, and that's really what's on my mind right now. I had things to do. I get in a creative mode. This is what I'm working on right now. My flaw, my greatest asset, greatest weakness. I am a creative person. I like the books. I like the writing. I like the intellectual creativity. Creating a program, creating an offer. That I'm bringing to you if you want to work with me. Getting on the path of your God self. So I like that piece. But that piece takes me to a very solitary place. And in the coaching business, in any business, you got to have people, right? You got to have the numbers. You got to reach out. You got to talk to people. This being a tool for that, social media. So it's something I struggle with. I get in my cave. I do my hermit thing. Cooking up fabulous recipes. And I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta feed the people. I gotta get out here. I gotta connect. So this is a weakness of mine. So it's, I have to constantly work on this. The back end stuff, I'm more of a back of the house cat. I'm more of a not all the way in the back of the bus, but a back of the house, but the back of the bus dude. Which if you listen to my favorite comedians, rest in power, Patrice O'Neal and Keith Robinson, which Keith Robinson was mentor to Kevin Hart. So this is what Kevin Hart came out of. So you can listen to these dudes. And for me personally, it's just out of that crew that Kevin Hart came out of, Kevin Hart isn't the funniest guy to me personally. But shout outs to him. Doing things, getting the bag, right? Keeping his face out there, connecting with the people as we talking about. But as they talked about being a back of the bus person was, the back of the school bus, the back of the bus, those are people, those where the goons at, right? Cracking jokes, the fights are happening to where I'm more of a middle to the back of the bus person. I wasn't fully committed to go all the way to the back. And then the front of the bus people, they paying attention. Same thing in class, all that, right? And that's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm trying to position myself now, is to connect with those people that are in the back of the bus. You still need help though. Everybody has a purpose. So we're still working to reach you wherever you at. Because I know you have a purpose. But let's get into it. To spin back around, touch on something real quick. Because I ain't been watching sports for some years now. I've been focusing, I'm watching these people make millions of dollars. Some of them live their dream or just have a very good job if they ain't feeling the NBA like that. They still getting paid. What am I doing? How am I getting something out of this? Now, I do get something out of it, even back then, as far as inspiration, the work ethic, seeing when you really think about what goes into an athlete, the years, the hours, the intensity the top athletes put into their body to perform at that higher level. That's inspirational for me. I don't know about you. That's what I love about, and that's why when I've gotten back into watching things, that's what I'm pulling from it. So, what are you getting? You just getting entertained? You just hooping and hollering, getting a release, excitement based on another man's skill? Or what are you working on? What skill are you working on? Again, you should inspire you to work on your skill and become a top-notch performer in what you've been blessed with. That's the biggest piece of where we're talking about connecting you and keeping you on the path of your purpose. But one thing that's really just disgusted me, to be honest, is that the gambling and these gambling apps and how they are on 90% of the sports podcasts that I have been checking out from time to time. So I didn't know that became a legal thing. That's how long I haven't watched any sports. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who any of these new cats was. I barely knew who Mahomes was. You know what I'm saying? But to see that in such an industry as sports, such a huge industry, in the children that watch this, and the children that aspire, and seeing their heroes. Oh man, you gonna bet this, bet that. And I'm Moorish American Muslim. I'm thinking about the history of the Moors, the history of Islam. And one of the reasons why it got so popular was because it was calling out the Catholics on their idolatry. And I'm seeing a time like this emerging again. This anything goes type of mentality. And this where the ancestors with Talik went up in Al-Andalusia in Spain and ran the ones on Spain. Right? Conquered Spain. But a big part of that quote unquote conquering was civilizing the savagery that was taking place. The intermarrying, the incest, the crime, the corruption, not only all through these different kingdoms, but all through the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church was warring at it with itself also. But in a lot of places, when the Moors came in, they didn't conquer, they came in to civilize. And we're in a time now that the people of the book that really care about humanity and really want humanity need to start standing up. It's our fault. This is the way it is. And you pointing the finger at other people and what they're doing and evil people and why they do that, Trump. All of this is your fault. That's how I look at it. When I look to the generation with their complaints, their righteous complaints on social media, etc., because they're looking at their parents, they're looking at their grandparents like, why y'all let it get like this? So I don't start crying. I start working. First thing you need to do is develop a skill. Let's get into the topic at hand. I'm talking about a very skilled sports player, Luka Dončić, I believe his name is. Whatever. Shout outs to that European, real European from Europe. Got traded. But what you're not seeing, how you're looking at it wrong. I even heard people talking about a betrayal. In this day and age, you don't know this is a business, baby. Didn't we just say there's a gambling app at the beginning of every podcast? Every ad, one of them is a gambling ad. You talking about this ain't a business, this is a betrayal. It's very interesting how if you're at the top, that's a betrayal. But if you're garbage, they're just making a good decision. You see what I'm saying? And this is why this is titled The People That Don't Need to Be in the Room. That people like that over emotionalize things, that just yap. We need those. They're good commentators, they're good fans. And they help true leaders find their direction. But this is where we talk about really being a leader, politician. We move on percentages, especially when we're dealing with huge numbers. We can't listen to just the loudest person talking the loudest. It's like who you represent, homie. How many people feel the same way as you? And before that, we can all logic it out, which is definitely what we work on here, is helping people get that foundation for critical thinking, which is your own navigational piece of your own values and your own beliefs. So getting back to that, because this gambling piece is important, that people are growing up that this is normalized and this is okay and anything goes. And that's not okay. That we're allowing people to get addicted financially. One of the worst addictions there is. I would say 3 things. I would tell my son this. You're going to be fine in life. You can take as long as you want, just as long as don't get nobody unwanted pregnancy. You don't start getting alcoholism or addiction. You don't develop a gambling fix, a gambling addiction. And I said 3, and kind of tie in all the addictions. And at 4, you don't turn into a life of crime. So if you don't do those things, you're always going to have a good position. You're always going to be in a good position to make moves. I chose the alcoholism piece. Dealing with my problems, being too emotional. That's why I got to call people out. Because I was one of them. Yapping and not doing enough movement. And it was really because I was lost, didn't have the support. People just say, oh, you mad. Now we talk about, oh, hurt people hurt people. There's a reason for people being mad. There's a reason behind these things. And if you don't connect with them, somebody will, which is what we've been seeing with the so-called right-wing pipeline. There's also a left-wing pipeline. That's really what I'm touching on right now. Your politics is a mistake. But we're going to land the plane with this. And that if you're real, if you're a leader, there are people that just shouldn't be in the room with you. It's not a arrogance issue. It's a skill issue. Just as much as I'm going to go out on a limb here and say 100% of the people listening to this at this point shouldn't be on an NBA court. Is it because they racist? Is it because they sexist? Is it because they don't like short people, fat people, out of shape people, old people? No, it's because you ain't got the skills. But it's the same thing. Whole lot of NBA players, whole lot of NFL players, whole lot of YouTube yappers shouldn't be in the room when serious conversations are being had, when leaders are coming together to lead. You want to develop your leadership? Get on the path and stay on the path of your life's purpose, because I guarantee you have a life purpose. Also, even if you think it done passed you up, check out the About page. Click on that. Book a 30-minute discovery session. Discover where you're at, and we talk about how to get to where you want to be. Go ahead, share this. I know I'm about to start going in. Starting to feel good. Great Saturday. Peace and love.